My family, the Harris clan, has a reputation spanning 3 generations for strong, fierce women who never back down. My grandmother, Clara Harris, was a martial artist in her youth. She once broke the leg of her gambling-addicted husband and confined him for half his life, ensuring no one in our small town dared cross her. My mother, Evelyn, a sharp-witted intellectual, took swift action after my deadbeat father passed away. She had his body cremated immediately and used clever tactics to silence his mistresses, leaving them speechless. As for me, Abigail Harris, I inherited the fiery spirit of both women, but hadn't yet had the chance to prove myself. That chance came when my cousin, Sophia, who was head over heels in love, invited me to be a bridesmaid at her wedding in a remote town. She was short one bridesmaid, and the groom's side had a crude tradition of harassing the bridal party. Seeing the groomsmen with their shady intentions and the groom's passive attitude, I gripped the 15-centimeter steel needle I always carried. This was my battlefield, and I was ready to make my mark. From a young age, I was known for my beauty. Fair skin and striking features made me a local legend. But as I grew older, no one dared approach me. The women of the Harris family were infamous for their strength and unrelenting nature. Our family was once well off, with a modest estate, but my grandfather's gambling addiction squandered it all. My grandmother, Clara, took charge, punishing him by breaking his leg and locking him away for years. With her resolve and foresight, she rebuilt the family's fortune. Unfortunately, my father was a useless playboy, squandering money on affairs and leaving behind a trail of illegitimate children. When he died in a car accident, my mother didn't hesitate. She inventoried the estate, and upon hearing of his death, she had his body sent straight to the crematorium. Within half an hour, he was reduced to ashes. The next day, a group of his mistresses showed up with their children, demanding a share of the inheritance. My mother, wiping away crocodile tears, said, "Don't spread lies." My husband was a charmer, surrounded by women, but he was loyal to me and never strayed. The mistresses, undeterred, brought their children to my grandmother for judgment. Clara raised an eyebrow and said, "Oh, you're right, are you? DNA tests? I'm too old for that nonsense. Since you loved my son so much, I'll be generous. After the funeral, you can each take a portion of his ashes home." The mistresses recoiled. They were after money, not ashes. Clara didn't care for their scheming. "No one wants the ashes? Then get out." Growing up in such a family, I developed my own quirks and flaws. In high school, a wealthy local boy pursued me. When I rejected him, he sent a matchmaker to my house with sweet promises of courtship and marriage. That night, I dumped 10 pounds of manure on his doorstep. 6 months later, a thug from a neighboring city fell for me at first sight, vowing to win me within a year. The next day, he crashed his motorcycle in a freak accident, ending up bandaged from head to toe. 3 years later, in college, another suitor from out of town tried his luck through a matchmaker. The matchmaker, fed up, snapped, "Get out! You blind fools are asking for trouble, and I won't be dragged into it." From then on, the local rumor mill shifted. I went from Abigail Harris, the beautiful, wealthy heiress, to Abigail Harris, the femme fatale. Cross her, and you'll be unlucky for days or crippled for life. I thought my life would be dull and uneventful, maybe even regretting my heavy-handed youth. But excitement found me. A month before the Memorial Day weekend, my aunt called. Sophia was getting married and needed a bridesmaid. "It's a small thing," my aunt said, "but Sophia's marrying into a place with a crude tradition of teasing bridesmaids. I wouldn't trust anyone else, Abigail. Only you can keep things under control." Her faith in me was touching. As I packed, my mother warned, "Be careful, don't rush in." My grandmother, lounging in her recliner, grumbled, "Don't listen to her. Timidity gets you nowhere. Act boldly." And so I set off on a train to a remote town in the southwest mountains. After several transfers, I arrived at a quiet little town. A brash guy with dyed blonde hair, Tommy, greeted me. His eyes lit up. "You're the bridesmaid? City girls really are something else." Sophia's face darkened, but Tommy brushed it off. "Relax, just joking. It'll make us all closer." Sophia was about to snap, so I tugged her sleeve. "He's just teasing. Don't mind him." Tommy grinned smugly. Sophia whispered, "He's disrespecting you." I glanced at the groom, Mason, who stood silently. "Disrespecting me or you?" I asked. Sophia hesitated, then defended Mason. "He's just not talkative." I smirked. Let them have their fun today. Tomorrow I'd teach them manners. There were 6 bridesmaids, including me. The other 5, Sophia's childhood friends, knew my reputation and immediately looked to me for protection. "These guys are so rude," they whispered. "What if they go too far?" I shrugged. "What can we do? We're just delicate girls against a bunch of rowdy men." My silence made them nervous. As expected, the groomsmen barged in, not playing traditional games, but shoving and groping the bridesmaids. The other girls, terrified, scattered. Sophia snapped at Mason. "Tell your friends to behave." Tommy cut in. "What's the big deal? You're already acting like the boss, huh?" The other groomsmen chimed in, mocking Mason for being whipped. Mason, suppressing his anger, said, "They're just joking. Don't take it personally. It's our big day. Let's not ruin it over nothing." Sophia relented, but as soon as she stepped outside, Tommy tried to lift a bridesmaid's dress. Screams erupted. The bridesmaids begged Mason to stop them, but he brushed it off. "It's time for the procession. They won't go too far with so many people around." Sophia hesitated, but left. The remaining groomsmen lingered, ignoring calls to move on. Tommy smirked. "What's the rush? Let the bride go first. We'll have our fun and catch up." I grabbed his sleeve, feigning fear. "Tommy, what do you want to let us go?" He grinned. "Just play along with some harmless touching. I'm not trying to make it hard for you." I lowered my eyes. "Do we have to undress?" He laughed, not answering. I bit my lip, then locked the door. I'm shy. The moment he locked it, I dropped the act. The terrified bridesmaid in the corner stopped crying and sat cross-legged. The others pulled baseball bats from under the bed and a stun baton from their bags. "Can you handle this?" "Absolutely," they replied in unison. Tommy, sensing trouble, tried to flee, but I kicked his arm, snapping it at an unnatural angle. His screams were muffled by the locked door. I pulled out my 15-centimeter silver needle, sharp enough to hit pressure points without leaving marks. I leaned in and whispered, "Tommy, your little friend's here to play." Half an hour later, we arrived at the wedding venue by taxi. Sophia sighed in relief, but Mason seemed surprised. "You got here fast. Where's Tommy and the others?" I played dumb. "No idea. They shouted a bit and left." Mason frowned. "They're still not here?" The bridesmaids glared at him. "What's that supposed to mean?" one asked. "You know Tommy wouldn't let us off that easily." Sophia's face darkened, but Mason stammered, "I didn't mean anything. I thought you'd come with them." I smiled at Sophia. "What do you think?" She stayed silent, lips pursed. The bridesmaids, disappointed, distanced themselves from her. Mason grew bolder. "You were the last to leave the bridal suite, and now 3 men are missing. Explain yourself." I met his gaze. "This is your turf. What could a few girls do? Maybe they got lost or fell in a ditch." Just then, the venue doors burst open. Tommy, battered and limping, stumbled in with the other groomsmen. "Mason, this wedding's cursed," he wailed. "These women are vicious. They nearly killed us. Call the cops." He lifted his shirt, revealing bruises. Mason's face hardened. "What happened? It's my big day and you're beating people up? I'm calling the police." I stepped closer to Tommy. "You sure about that? Think carefully. Street brawling or attempted assault? Which carries a heavier penalty? Oh, and I've got the bridal suite on camera. Full footage." Tommy froze, shrinking back. I raised my voice. Tommy, care to explain to your buddy where those bruises came from? He stammered. I fell, I grinned. Good boy. Mason, unconvinced, knew Tommy's character, but also that I had him cornered. Still, he pressed. They went too far, but it's my wedding. For Sophia's sake, I'll let it slide if you apologize publicly to Tommy. I stepped forward, ready to slap him. Apologize? To this sorry excuse for a groom? You need a lesson. Sophia stepped between us, shielding Mason. Enough, Abigail. Don't make a scene. It's my wedding. Let me finish it peacefully. I know their traditions upset you, but you beat them up. Isn't that enough? Just apologize and we can move on. I stared at her, stunned. The sister I grew up with spoke so coldly. Our humiliation didn't matter. Her wedding, her love came first. I touched her face. Your mom asked me to look out for you, and I have. Mason might resent me, but he'll think twice before crossing you now. I've done my part. Whether he's a saint or a devil is your call. Apologize in your dreams. I turned and left the venue. The other bridesmaids hesitated, then followed. Sophia tried to stop the last one. Why are you all leaving? The girl shook her off. You're my sister, but you expect me to apologize to the guy who tried to harm me? That's absurd. We booked flights back to our city that night. My aunt, horrified, collapsed when she heard the story. That fool Sophia, blinded by love, abandoning her friends, keep compromising, and she'll never find peace. I offered a few half-hearted words of comfort and went home. My mother, watching TV, tossed me a bracelet as emotional compensation. I grinned. This story's far from over, she said coldly. I thought Sophia's blind love and Mason's hypocrisy would keep their marriage going for at least a year. But 6 months later, my aunt called in a panic. Sophia was in trouble. After the wedding, my aunt realized Mason was no good and froze Sophia's credit cards and savings, leaving only a rarely used card linked to her phone with a monthly deposit of $50, enough to survive in a pinch. If Sophia was living well, she'd never touch it. But 3 months ago, the card was used, and every month since, the $50 was withdrawn instantly. My aunt tried calling Sophia, but her number was disconnected. She hasn't contacted you at all? My mother asked. My aunt sighed. We fought the day I cut her cards. She swore she'd prove she could live happily without us. My mother scoffed. What a fool. She'll learn the hard way. But her tone shifted. Our daughter may be reckless, but she's ours to discipline. If the Masons mistreat her, they'll answer to us. I raised my hand. Didn't you say kids who don't learn at home get taught by the world? Sounds like a double standard. My mother glared. Big matters have laws, small ones have parents. Parents who let their kids get bullied are the real fools. So, what's the plan? She decided I'd lead the charge, given my experience at the wedding and my knack for fighting and scheming. My aunt would appeal to reason and emotion, ready to break Mason's legs if needed. My mother would bring bodyguards as backup. Last time you helped Sophia out of sisterly love, and she threw it back in your face, my mother said. This time we're not doing it for free. My aunt agreed. Fair's fair. 1 pound of gold for your trouble, double if you succeed. As we prepared, my 80-year-old grandmother, Clara, hobbled out with her cane. Those bodyguards can't match this old lady's strength, she said. My mother panicked. Mom, this might get physical. You can't handle it. Clara adjusted her hair. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to see who dares touch me. Only the ruthless hold their ground. Let's do this. We headed to Mason's hometown, a small town where news traveled fast. We spotted Tommy smoking by the roadside, gossiping. He saw me and bolted. I chased him down, pinning him against a wall with a kick. Please, I was blind to cross you, he begged. I smirked, grabbing his collar. Scared of little old me? I'm no tiger. He glanced at my hands, relieved to see no knife. Just don't hit me, and I'll spill everything. Where's Sophia? At Mason's place, he said nervously. Why ask? Didn't he promise her a house after the wedding? I frowned. He swore they'd buy a place, but 6 months later, we don't even have their address. Tommy's face shifted, avoiding my gaze. I leaned in. I still have that video. Cooperate or enjoy jail. He shrank back. I'll lead you, but please, no more beating. It's all Mason's fault. Tommy guided us through narrow alleys to a dilapidated house at the town's edge, backed against a mountain. It was damp, moss-covered, and ancient, hardly fit for habitation. My aunt grabbed Tommy, furious. Mason said his family was well off, that he'd buy a new house. Has Sophia been living in this dump? Tommy stammered. It's not my fault. Mason's family was dirt poor. His parents died young and his grandfather raised him. They were the town's poorest. Last year, he bragged about striking gold soon, meaning Sophia. My aunt collapsed, devastated. I thought he was just a poor scholar. If he treated her well, I'd have accepted it. It was all a lie. Tommy slunk away. The creaky door opened, and Sophia's voice called, Mom? I barely recognized her, once vibrant and beautiful, now gaunt and sallow, limping on a wooden crutch. My aunt screamed and fainted. Sophia rushed to her, sobbing, Mom, wake up! Clara dusted off her coat. She's not dead yet. She surveyed the shack and laughed. Haven't seen a place this bad in years. You've got grit, Sophia. Sophia, ashamed, clung to her mother silently. When my aunt came to, Clara demanded, What did that scum do to you? Sophia recounted the past 6 months. Mason, penniless, targeted Sophia's wealth to climb the social ladder. When they dated, he was the perfect boyfriend, bringing meals, texting promptly, always sweet. Sophia believed she'd found true love, just a bit poor. With her 6-figure salary and his job prospects, she thought they'd build a good life. Even after my aunt cut her off, she married him. But without her money, Mason turned cruel. He claimed they needed 3 more months to save for a house, but his attitude worsened. When Sophia got pregnant, he softened briefly, urging her to reconcile with her family for money. She refused, cutting contact and quitting her job to test his promise to provide. Instead, he became abusive, causing a miscarriage and breaking her leg. He refused to pay for treatment, leaving her in the shack to fend for herself. My aunt wept. Why suffer like this? You bet your life on that monster. Sophia comforted her. He's a leech. I was foolish, but I couldn't let him use me to get to you. Clara nodded approvingly. You've got some spine. Here's your chance to escape that scum. Will you take it? Sophia hesitated, then nodded. Mason won't agree to a divorce, and as long as my family has money, he'll cling to me. Clara smirked. Divorce? Too easy. I'll show you how to make him beg for it without bloodshed. Sophia's eyes hardened. If it works, I want him in hell. Clara instructed my mother to transfer $30,000 to my aunt's account. Mason, desperate, had been withdrawing the $50 monthly deposits. The $30,000 was gone instantly. From our hotel, Clara showed us the bank alert. See? He's already trapped himself. Abigail, get to work. Your aunt promised a pound of gold. Make it quick. I planned to flush Mason out by setting his shack ablaze. As the fire truck sirens wailed, he rushed back, finding his home reduced to ashes. Sophia, illuminated by the flames, looked both broken and fierce. Satisfied? I asked. Tears fell as she nodded. Being trapped here for 6 months, I hated every second. I laughed. With people who don't listen to reason, don't bother reasoning. Tommy whispered that Mason was coming, tipped off by a rumor of Sophia's rich ex visiting. I raised an eyebrow. Clever move. Tommy begged me to delete the video. One more task, and it's gone, I said. As the crowd dispersed, Mason stormed in, raising his hand to strike Sophia. You burned my house? I grabbed his wrist, twisting until he paled. Hot temper, brother-in-law. He recognized me, then brightened. Is your aunt here? I snapped. I'm here to collect a debt, not play family. Mason backed off. Debt? I didn't borrow from you. I yanked Sophia's hair lightly. You didn't, but your wife did. $30,000 gone in a day and you're denying it? Sophia played along, tears streaming. Honey, pay her back. She's terrifying. Mason, desperate to keep the money, shouted, She borrowed it, not me. I sneered. You're married. Debts are shared. He opened his mouth, nearly mentioning divorce, but stopped. Something felt off. He tried to leave, but Tommy and his crew blocked the alley. Where are you going, Mason? This is our turf, Tommy taunted. Scared of that girl? Mason, cornered, hesitated. Tommy egged him on. Throw the first punch or your boys will lose respect. Mason, knowing he couldn't beat me, tried to push through the crowd. Just then he bumped into Clara, who dramatically fell. The crowd erupted. Tommy shouted, Mason pushed an old lady. One fall like that could bankrupt us. The mob, hired by Tommy, swarmed Mason, pinning him down. You caused this mess, they yelled. Clara, carried to an ambulance, whispered to Mason, No $30,000, no discharge from the hospital. Mason realized he'd been set up. The push, the $30,000 transfer, and his withdrawal were undeniable. In jail, Sophia visited him, tearfully claiming she'd share the $60,000 debt with him. We can pay it off in 10 years, she said. Mason, frantic, suggested divorce. Let your family take the debt. They won't push you too hard. I've got $30,000 or cash. You won't suffer. Sophia's grip loosened. Is that okay? Mason, eager, promised to treat her like a princess. She agreed silently. A month later, with Mason still detained, the divorce was finalized. Sophia visited him, calling a lawyer in his presence. Your assault was your own doing, she said. The $30,000 debt was split, and my share was covered by your hidden cash. You're still liable for Clara's medical bills. Mason jumped up. We had a deal. Sophia smiled coldly. Deal? What deal? Did I say I'd take your debt? That blind love died 6 months ago. You thought you could manipulate me? She added, Clara's in a private nursing home now. You can't pay her bills anyway. Goodbye, forever. That night, Sophia and my aunt flew back to our city. A month later, Sophia, recovered, brought me a pound of gold. I nearly dropped it, then playfully bit it. Greedy much? She teased. I hugged the gold. Better to have my own money than rely on anyone. Sophia nodded. I'm worried Mason might come to our city. Clara's medical bills? $50,000, perfectly reasonable. She sold the debt to a collection agency in Mason's town. They keep whatever they collect, but Mason can't leave until it's paid. At his town's wages, he's stuck for a decade. Sophia laughed. The Harris women are unstoppable. I blushed at the praise. What's next? I asked. Blind dates? She shook her head. I'm off to grad school abroad. Love and marriage can wait. Being strong is the only way.